The power goes out at 2 a.m., and the silence is the first thing that scares you. No heater hum, no fridge buzz, just cold air sliding across the floor like it owns the place. Here's the part nobody tells you. Most people don't freeze because the world turns into Antarctica overnight. They freeze because they lose heat faster than they realize. Your body is basically a small furnace wrapped in fragile insulation, and the moment electricity disappears, you're in a physics experiment whether you like it or not. The goal isn't to fight the cold directly, it's to slow the escape of heat. That's why the smartest move you can make isn't running around gathering blankets like a movie character. It's shrinking your living space. Close doors, hang curtains, even stack books or mattresses against unused hallways, because air volume is the enemy. A smaller air pocket warms faster from your body heat alone, and you'd be shocked how quickly a tiny corner of a room becomes survivable when convection currents are blocked. Think of it like turning a warehouse into a tent using whatever you already have, because insulation beats brute force every single time. And listen, the floor is secretly stealing your warmth right now. Heat transfer doesn't care about how tough you feel. It travels through contact, and cold ground will drain you like a battery. Cardboard, yoga mats, folded clothes, anything that traps air becomes a thermal barrier. Even newspapers layered under a blanket work because air pockets slow conduction. You don't need fancy gear, you need trapped air. That's why layering clothes works better than one heavy jacket. Each thin layer captures warmth and reduces heat loss, while moisture gets pushed outward instead of freezing against your skin. Your body generates around 100 watts of heat just existing, enough to warm a small insulated space if you stop letting it escape. Tuck in sleeves, cover your neck, and protect your head, not because heat magically escapes there more, but because exposed skin increases overall loss through radiation. The difference between comfort and shivering can literally be a scarf and dry socks. Now here's where people make a dangerous mistake. They try to heat the entire room instead of heating themselves. Candles, improvised stoves, random DIY heaters, that's where accidents happen. A safer approach is micro-warming. Fill a metal bottle with warm water if you have any, wrap it in cloth, and keep it near your core. Even a heated stone from near a fire, carefully wrapped and tested, becomes a slow-release radiator. Your body doesn't need the air to be hot, it just needs stable warmth near vital organs so your metabolism stops panicking. That's basic thermoregulation. When your core stays warm, your brain reduces shivering, saving calories and energy. You're not trying to create summer. You're trying to prevent your internal thermostat from hitting survival mode. And food suddenly becomes fuel in a very literal way. Cold environments increase metabolic demand, which means small, frequent snacks keep your internal furnace burning steadily. Fats and carbohydrates convert into heat through digestion, a process called diet-induced thermogenesis, and even a simple peanut butter sandwich can make you feel warmer within minutes. Hydration matters too, because blood volume affects circulation. Thick, dehydrated blood moves heat poorly. Warm drinks are powerful not just psychologically but physically, raising internal temperature slightly while encouraging you to stay hydrated. Alcohol, though, is a trap. It makes you feel warm by dilating blood vessels, but that actually speeds up heat loss and increases risk once the initial buzz fades. Another trick nobody expects is controlled movement. Not frantic jumping jacks that soak your clothes in sweat. Sweat is basically future ice, but slow, deliberate motion like squats, stretching, or pacing in a small loop. Muscle activity produces heat, yet the goal is balance. Enough motion to stay warm, not enough to create moisture. Ventilate slightly if you start sweating, because damp fabric destroys insulation. The science is simple. Evaporation steals heat rapidly, which is why mountaineers fear wet clothing more than freezing air. If you ever feel yourself overheating, that's your cue to loosen layers briefly, then seal yourself back in once you cool. Staying dry is as important as staying warm. And then there's the psychological side, the quiet enemy that creeps in during long outages. Cold feels worse when you're still and focused on it. So light, repetitive tasks help regulate perception. Organizing gear, preparing a layered sleeping setup, or even reading aloud keeps your brain engaged and your breathing steady. When it's time to sleep, build a nest instead of just piling blankets flat. Tuck edges underneath you, create a cocoon that traps rising heat, and if you're with others, share warmth carefully. Humans are incredibly efficient heaters when insulated together. Your breathing alone adds moisture and warmth to a small enclosed space, which is why tents and blanket forts feel dramatically warmer than open beds. This section is based on practical field survival experience, rather than formal academic sources. Eventually, the cold outside becomes background noise, and you realize survival isn't about dramatic heroics, it's about small, repeated decisions that slow heat loss hour by hour. You block drafts instead of fighting the weather. You warm the body instead of the building. You stay dry, fed, and calm. The irony is that most smart survival tricks are invisible. They don't look impressive, but they quietly bend physics in your favor. And when morning finally arrives and the power still hasn't returned, you're not panicking anymore. You've turned a powerless house into a controlled microclimate using nothing but insulation, biology, and patience. Proof that warmth isn't something you plug into a wall, it's something you learn to protect.